Jordan Peterson is a psychology professor who's really risen in popularity in the last few years as he's expressed some of his controversial views on gender and sexuality. Now, Richard Dawkins is perhaps one of the most prominent atheists of our generation who has also expressed similar controversial views about gender and sexuality. However, this has led to one of them being canceled while the other continues to grow in popularity. Let's go ahead and talk about why that is. So as you may already know, Richard Dawkins and Jordan Peterson have both spoken out over the recent years and participated in the discussion of transgenderism and the use of gendered pronouns. Now, although they hold somewhat of a similar position on the issue, the outcomes for them haven't been all that similar. Since Dawkins has started talking about his views on social equality and gender, his popularity has been going down more and more, and he's grown less and less favorable in the public eye. Dawkins has been progressively becoming more and more of a target to cancel culture, even by his fellow atheists. Just recently, Dawkins was stripped of his 1996 Humanist Award following a tweet that he put up on Twitter. In the tweet, he wrote, "In 2015, Rachel Dolezal, a white chapter president of the NAACP, was vilified for identifying as black. Some men choose to identify as women, and some women choose to identify as a man. You will be vilified if you deny that they literally are what they identify as. Discuss." So following the tweet, the American Humanist Association stripped Dawkins of his 1996 Humanist Award because his tweet, quote unquote, implies that the identities of transgender individuals are fraudulent, while also simultaneously attacking black identity as one that can be assumed when convenient. So following the news of him losing the award, some atheists decided to defend him, while a lot of the younger atheists decided to cancel Dawkins and withdraw all of their support from him, as well as others have throughout the last few years. Now, contrary to Dawkins, as Peterson started talking about his views on gender and transgenderism, his popularity and favor in the public eye continued to rise. Even to this day, Peterson continues to drive in millions of daily listeners and is showing no sign of slowing down anytime soon. So why is it that Peterson and Dawkins can have similar views on gender that they both have explained to the public, but one of them is being canceled and the other one isn't? Well, a lot of things can be said, but one of the first things that jumps out to me is along the lines of the old saying, "It's not what you say, but how you say it." It seems to me that Peterson and Dawkins likely have different goals when it comes to what they're saying and why they're saying it. In most cases, Peterson seems to be trying to persuade the people who he's talking to, and because of that, he tends to start off a lot of the conversations a lot with agreement between him and whoever he's trying to persuade. This is why you'll usually see Peterson trying to find some sort of common ground with them.
I thought what I might do is just lay out some places that I think Sam and I agree. And because there's lots of places we agree.
Dawkins, on the other hand, doesn't come across as trying to persuade the people that disagree with them, but instead, he comes across as trying to punish those people by ridiculing them for not having his same views. Because Peterson comes across as someone who's trying to persuade and Dawkins comes across as someone who's trying to punish, this is why what Peterson says can come across as a lot more emotionally palatable than when Dawkins says something similar. But if what I'm saying is true, this might lead you to wonder why it is that Dawkins has gained popularity by leading with ridicule in the past. In other words, how did he get to the place of having that status in the first place? I think the reason why is because that approach, that ridicule approach, can work when you're preaching to the choir. This is why if Dawkins is trying to preach to people who already agree with him, as is the case when he's talking to atheists who are also angry with religion, then he can keep that same approach and he can berate and ridicule religion since his audience shares that same frustration towards religion that he does.
Mock them, ridicule them. In public. Don't fall for the convention that we're all too polite to talk about religion.
But when it comes to the discussion about genders and pronouns, which his audience largely disagrees with him and his views on this, then his standard approach of ridicule just ain't gonna work. He's gonna need to meet his audience where they're at first if he's gonna try to persuade them. And since Dawkins appears to only have one main approach, then he hasn't been able to adapt to the modern demands of the emotional sensitivity that his audience expects, and hence, he continues to proceed towards social bankruptcy. He's just not evolving with the times, which is ironic, given how much of an advocate he is for evolution. Peterson, on the other hand, seems to be trying to persuade people in order to make them better people, which is one of the reasons why I think that Peterson finds Jesus to be so amazing.
And Christ, by definition, this is independent of anything but conceptualization, is by definition the best that a man can be.
Jesus essentially did what Peterson is trying to do, but Jesus did it perfectly. Jesus went so far to establish common ground with us that he actually put on human flesh and became human like us, and that way he related to us eye to eye. Jesus not only met people where they were, but he also adjusted his approach to who he was talking to, so that way he could speak to them in a way that they would understand and be receptive to. This is why Jesus used fishing metaphors when he was talking to fishermen, and money metaphors when he was talking to tax collectors, agricultural metaphors in farming areas, parenting metaphors like when he's talking to the mother in Mark 7, and so on. And even more, Jesus didn't even stop there. He went beyond meeting us where we were at and chose to suffer and die for our benefit and in our place, and offered the life that he lived as a free gift for anyone who chooses to accept it. So with Jesus being the ultimate example of what Peterson is trying to accomplish, it's no wonder why Peterson finds Jesus to be such an astonishing person while Dawkins simply doesn't. And when it comes to Dawkins, it doesn't really stop there for me. I haven't been too impressed with his arguments against the existence of God either. So go ahead and take a look at this video to see what I mean. But the next time you realize that your goal is to punish rather than to persuade, what are you going to say?
For Jesus.